Can you tell us your name?
Hey, my name is Misty Denson.
Okay. And what do you do, Misty?
Well, I'm a nurse. I was a nurse. I guess I am still a nurse, but I don't practice.
And that's why you're here today.
That's right. Yeah, I was fired for not taking the vaccine.
Okay. So prior to COVID, did you take your yearly flu vaccine and all those things, or were you already kind of?
I was not one of the ones that would go on a routine basis to the flu vaccine, but I would every once in a while, I guess, just because everybody else did. But I wasn't gung-ho on that one either.
Were any of your employers requiring that?
The flu vaccine?
Mm-hmm.
They were pressing it, but they did not mandate the flu vaccine.
Okay. And so COVID hits, all the crazies start happening. Can you kind of walk us through your experience of what happened?
Sure. So COVID hits and everyone is like kind of running to the hills, kind of crazy like, and what are we to do? But we know as nurses we're still going to show up for work. And so even though people were scared to death and they were staying at home and they don't know what the virus is, we still showed up for work. We were in our mask, we were in everything we could think of to do to make ourselves better and our patients better. So we still showed up every day. We did what we needed to do. We were in the faces of our patients, and we were the frontline people. And so then the deadline comes and they say that we have to do the vaccine. And well, of course I knew that was just something that I just had a very strong ingrained feeling that it wasn't something that I needed to be a part of. I did pray about it and I was like, I'm not getting the feeling that I'm led to do this, that this is something that I need to do. And so I filled out my papers, and not only did I fill out my papers, religious exemption, I did medical exemption too, because I've also had the COVID virus. So my body's already processed and made antibodies. And so I took a picture of my test, my positive antibody test, and I submitted it also in my medical exemption. And all of those were denied.
Was it a religious exemption?
Yeah.
Okay. A religious exemption. So was it like a formal process? Do you think someone even looked at your exemption?
Not really. I think they just crossed them out all across the board.
And were you seeing any kind of coercion or incentives?
Yeah, actually there were interdepartmental memos that came out, and they were talking of, we actually had a goal meter that was in our break room, and it was kind of like the thermometer, and it kind of went red. They drew it in, how many percents were vaccinated, and then the white was remaining holdouts. And then there was a memo that came out that talked about there were 130 employees that said that they wouldn't get vaccinated. So then the next line said, so those that are vaccinated need to persuade those who aren't. And then the next piece of paper on the stapled memo talked about different phases of people would get, if you were vaccinated, you could possibly get a $5,000 money bonus. And then if you were vaccinated and you went through the process, you would get like $200 on your pay stubs. And then shortly after that, it was Dr. Dobbs, the medical officer, and the CEO at Methodist were kind of like doing a bingo game, kind of who was going to be the big winner of the $5,000 deal.
As a nurse, in your career, have you ever seen that level of coercion for any medical treatment?
Never. It was intense. It was brutal. It was. I had such a fond happiness for being a nurse and providing for my patients, and so that was something that was. They went after that, and that wasn't. I've always been a nurse. I've always done by the rules. It was this. This is where the line was drawn.
Yeah. So, were you formally terminated, or walk us through, your last day of work?
So my last day of work was December the 3rd. December the 6th, I get a piece of paper because I had not submitted my my vaccination form. that I was fired and that I should call human resources for protocol, what would come after that.
And so, have you started searching for new jobs, or what was your whole outlook after that?
Well, I did at the very beginning. I did think that I was going to go back to nursing, but then there was just such I couldn't find my fit. I couldn't, and I don't know if it was just because the Lord was telling me this is not for you right now or whatever. But I tried several interviews and kind of did some shadowing, and nothing was what I was expecting, or it didn't feel right. But now I'm cleaning houses. So I like to say I used to bring the people to the toilets, and now I clean the toilets.
So was that hard for you?
Ooh, it was so hard. And I'll tell you what. So I live in a very small town, and there was nobody in our small town who had been terminated. So my kids were the only ones at school who had a parent who was taken out of workforce, who didn't have the income, who didn't have the insurance, who was so unsure of what was next. And my kids had to watch me walk through that in a small town. So that gave a face to the situation. But my kids grew a lot for having to see me get up every day and do the same thing and go after it. And now I'm happy where I'm at. I just don't want this to be the standard for our young generations. I don't want somebody to put my child on point and say, you have to do this, or your livelihood is taken. And I will be the voice to say, it's not going to happen.
It's a very brave thing to do, to stand up against the mandates and say, I'm not going to do this. And at the same time, there's many people whose pictures are inside this bus who've passed away or who've sat where you are, and they took it because they were going to lose their job, and they ended up losing their job anyways because they were injured. So in the end, you stood up for your children and did the right thing.
I think so.
Do you have any final thoughts before we get off?
I would just want everyone that hears this to really understand that there is such a motive, and the motive is not health derived. The motive is financial gain, and it puts everyone's physical needs down to nothing, like you matter nothing. It's all about financial gains, and they're going to gain off of your back and off of your injection.
Well, thank you for coming here today.
Oh, you're welcome.